title of this study is on days and years. And the goal that I have in this study is to whet your appetite to study the 3 chapters that are found in the book of Joel, and to get enthused about that, and then also to get enthused about studying other books of Bible prophecy, such as Daniel or Revelation, and the other books in the Bible that are prophetic. So I'm going to start by reading Joel 1, verse 2. Hear this, ye old men, and give ear, all ye inhabitants of the land. Hath this been in your days, or even in the days of your fathers? Now I have found in studying the book of Joel that it is important at the very beginning of Joel to understand what days and years mean, and also to understand what it means when it says your days, or when it says the days of your fathers. If we don't understand that, it's easy to get sidetracked and misunderstand some parts of Joel. Sometimes people have had some controversy and conflict about not understanding this. So to begin to understand days and years, I'm going to start with Genesis 1, verse 14. Genesis 1:14 sets the stage to understand the foundation of days versus years. And God said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and for years. So on the 4th day of creation, in Genesis 1:14, we're given 4 signs that are going to tell us things that we need to know about life, about agriculture, about how the world works, and about Bible prophecy, how to tell time. And these things are signs, seasons, days, and years. And I'm going to be talking about the days and years. So another witness to this is found in Daniel 2. This was where Daniel had some insights that God revealed to him in a dream that helped him understand Nebuchadnezzar's dream. And also, one of the ways that Daniel got these insights was because he took time in prayer to God and fasting before he had these insights, and also he was used to studying Bible prophecy. So Daniel understood and said, blessed be the name of God forever and ever, for wisdom and might are his. And he changeth the times and the seasons. He removeth kings and setteth up kings. He giveth wisdom unto the wise, and knowledge to them that know understanding. He revealeth the deep and secret things. He knoweth what is in the darkness, and the light dwelleth with him. So, God is the one who has all wisdom and might. God changes the times and the seasons. God removes kings and he sets up kings. This is a principle that underlies all of this world's history and Bible prophecy, including the fact that we're right now undergoing a change in the United States, with who's going to be president and all of that. He gives us knowledge. We were talking about Daniel 2, verses 20 through 22, and this is where it explains that days versus years, times and seasons, are connected, like we found in Genesis 1, verse 14. And God is the God who's in charge. And this is something that Daniel was an example of, a witness to. And the light dwells with God. So this light and life come from God. And we find that in Genesis 1, verses 1 through 5. So we can refer back to that. And also, the wise are those who understand prophecy, who understand the secrets that God reveals through the Bible in prophecy. And we can refer back to Matthew 25, verses 1 through 13, where Jesus talks about the bridegroom, which is a symbol of of him coming and returning, and the wise. And this is a parable we need to understand as we're seeking to understand days and years and how this applies to understanding the book of Joel. So I'd like to refer you to read Ezekiel 4, verses 4 through 6. In these verses, it talks about the Bible principle that one day equals a year in Bible prophecy. And after reading that, then I'm going to turn us to Daniel 9, verse 2. In the first year of his reign, I, Daniel, understood by books the number of the years, whereof the word of the Lord came to Jeremiah the prophet, that he would accomplish 70 years in the desolations of Jerusalem. So the word desolations of Jerusalem in 70 years are key words to understand and remember. Also, the number of the years in this verse. So Daniel understood, because he understood about reading the Bible and understanding prophecy. He understood that Jeremiah had predicted 70 years captivity for the Jews in Babylon, and he understood that those years were ending. So he was praying, and this is something we can learn from. We need to be praying as we're understanding and studying Bible prophecy. So from that, let's go to Daniel 10, verse 14. In Daniel 10:14, it says that now I am come to make thee understand what shall befall thy people in the latter days. So the vision that Daniel received, the Chalzone vision, was for many days, and the latter days involved the time of the 70 years for Israel, the 490 years actually, and when Jesus would come, and when he would die on the cross, and then when the Jerusalem would be destroyed in 70 AD. So we have an example here of the latter days applying to that time period, and it also applied to our time period. And so we're going to compare and study that. And in Daniel 11:13, it talks about after certain years. The term after certain years is another term that we need to remember. Hosea 9, verse 7 says the days of visitation are come, the days of recompense are come. The days of recompense were the days of punishment. Also, when we talk about days versus years, we can see that also applies to freedom from captivity. Times of freedom, times of scattering versus gathering. There are many different applications to that. So now I want to come to Joel 2:29. It says, "It also upon the servants and upon the handmaids in those days will..." On Matthew 24, verse 29. So I just want to recap. This Bible text is talking about the dark day that occurred on May 19, 1780, when there was a total eclipse of the sun, and the moon was blood that afterwards, and then where it talks about the stars falling from heaven, that was in 1833, and the powers of heaven shaken. When did that happen? Well, come to find out, that actually was a prophetic event that occurred on August 11, 1840, called the Second Woe of Islam. You could refer to studies on Revelation 9 for further information. So this was beginning the time prophecies that started in 1789, going through August 10 of 1840, and going through some other prophecies. So let's talk about that. Then in verse 30 of Matthew 40, it says, "And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. And then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory." So when did this happen? Well, first off, it does refer to Jesus' second coming, so you need to watch the language as it moves back and forth. And I have some Bible texts there in the handout that refer to that. But also, there was a sign of the Son of Man, because during this time in history, there was a group called the Millerites, and they were studying prophecy, and they were studying all through these dates here, and they came to something called the Midnight Cry, which was around April 19 of 1844, and came to another day called October 22, 1844. This was a day that they thought Jesus was returning to earth, and only the righteous would be saved. But it actually was, they found out that after going through this great disappointment and finding out he didn't come that day, that really this was a day foretold in the Bible, having to do with him going, changing his ministry from the holy place in the sanctuary to the most holy place, and that's a whole nother study. And then after that were some important events around the Civil War. So let's go to Matthew 24, verse 31. It says, "And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other." What does this mean? Well, there's a lot of other studies chained into this that we could link in and study, so I'm just going to briefly mention. But this actually referred to some events in Revelation 18, verses 1 through 4, the events that I believe happened at 9/11. So we have two prophetic patterns that parallel each other. And these are the prophetic patterns that I also find in the book of Joel. One has to do with 1798 going to October 22, 1844, and the time actually of the Civil War afterwards, and then the time from 1989, 9/11, and going through to the end of the world when Jesus comes. That's what we're studying. That's what we're studying in Joel. I'm going to shut this off because I know it's going to, and then I'll be back. Thank you.